Okay. You know, something my former mother used to say is never, ever make a bargain or deal with God. Don't do it. You don't tempt him, you don't barter, and you don't make deals with God. You may end up losing the first thing you see when you come home. Could be your child. But coming out to smaller town Montana and then learning about the barter and trade system that goes on, I believe that it's not traditional, and I believe it's mostly immoral. The barter and trade is a heathen system, and it is making a deal that you're going to lose, and it's about slavery. And that's probably very old-fashioned of me. I know that the 1800s and 1700s Americans, in the 1700s you had people bartering like fur traders. They would barter things to get furs and pelts and land. But later on you had groups of Christian groups coming in the 1800s and banning native tribes and people from bartering and potlucks because they saw that this heathen system really hurt and impoverished a lot of people and cut out merit and ability to get ahead. Currency, real currency, is how you can move out of poverty better, and how pay is fair. And you don't make deals and barter with God, because who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills? It sure as hell ain't you. And whoever owns more and has more is going to get more. And then another thing, I know in the Pacific Northwest, one reason they banned potlatches, is the wealthiest person was going poor, giving everything away. It was like a weird communism thing and a weird pride thing. And people were going into poverty. And when I first got here, I've had to really adjust to this plantation bartering system that's not honest. It's not honest for work pay. Quality, honesty is down in rural America because of bartering. And people with money refusing to use their currency. They really want to kind of enslave people. And you can get in a spiritual contract that it's very hard to get out of with bartering. And currency is a good way. Currency and no debt is a good way to stay out of spiritual and generational contracts with those who are playing God. They might be Satan, but they're playing God on earth. You don't want to be in debt. And when I first got here, an older man, quite a bit older than me, he had a crush on me and he offered to help. He weed whacked, which was really nice because I didn't have a weed whacker. I lived out in the country. I didn't have to weed whack. I could let things kind of go wild. And I was looking a little unkempt. And then he came over and he's like, I'll come over and insulate your garage for you. I'll do that. It won't take me much time. And I knew what he wanted. It was that contract. It's, I'm going to stay here and do all this stuff for you and get in your personal life and in your stuff. And you're going to feel obligated to me. And I told him, I said, no, I don't have the money to pay for the insulation. And I could have. At that time, now I couldn't, but I could have paid for the insulation, but I didn't want the real payment I was going to have to put out. I was going to have to put out. And that's an obligation. That was a barter and an entrapment. That wasn't, there's so many times that I've come across where people want to help you, and I call it helping themselves to you. Beware of people who want to help you, and they're really helping themselves to you, and it's false charity, and it's obligating you. And I would call it pagan and heathen, and it's getting really, really popular amongst Christians who I am now calling pagan and heathen Christians for the most part. Anyone who's preaching this new plantation culture, there's a lot of prepper types, and the barter culture, they're probably on the spectrum of psychopathy, like narcissists, and they probably have a little more money or sneakiness, and they know they're clinging and clawing to power and trying to gain territory through that. Currency, real currency, really helps promote equality, like a possible way of getting up and out of trouble and servitude. But that's just one of the economic and social things I've been thinking about lately, and I really do not like the barter system, and I see why our ancestors, especially by the 1800s, were really trying to get rid of that as much as possible. I see it.